in all my life. Think it's time to get it right.
Welcome back to the Pretty Purposeful Podcast. I'm your host, Angee Mélange.
And I'm Candace.
Today, we are going to be talking about a very critical topic that affects many people, psychological safety at work. So many people experience workplace bullying, just toxic work cultures, and there's a lot of discussion around the topic, but we wanted to be able to bring this conversation to you all so that we can dive a little bit deeper. So today we're going to be exploring everything around workplace psychological safety. But before we get into today's topic, I got to check in with my purpose partner, Miss Candace. What's been up with you, girl?
Girl, trying to do some shopping hauls for a cruise I'm so excited.
That's very exciting.
Yes.
Where you going?
The Bahamas. I've never been, and this will be literally my first adult cruise.
Oh, you're going to love it.
Experience. The last time I was on a cruise was when I was like in kindergarten. So I'm going to be able to, really have some fun. Clean fun. So definitely have some fun. My friend invited me to her 50th birthday celebration. So she was like, girl, you want to celebrate with me by going to a cruise? And I'm like, of course, let's go. So I don't know, by the time this has aired, I might have already went on, but
she's gonna come back sun-kissed, y'all. Y'all gonna know, okay? Right. She's gonna be very sun-kissed. Yes.
So yeah. I am so looking forward to that. I know we're gonna have a blast, and I'm just thankful she asked me. Like, out of all the people she could have asked to go on this trip with to celebrate the big 5-0. She asked me.
So she's not like, it's not like a family group. It's just you two.
It's just us two.
Oh, y'all about to have some fun. And y'all got no kids going?
No kids. She's not married either. Okay. We both single, childless.
Yes.
So
oh yeah. They're definitely about to be turning up. Okay. Look, take lots of pictures. Definitely.
Will do.
That is so
Angee.
exciting. I mean, you work so hard, Candace. You deserve it. Definitely. So I'm glad to hear that you're going to be giving some sun and some fun in the sun.
Thank you,
awesome.
Girl. Thank you. I'm so looking forward to it. I really am.
Yes.
So, honey, what's been going on with you?
Well, girl, okay, so let's see. Well, I just recently purchased a new car. Well, new to me.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So, yes, you guys. I mean, this is the longest that I've gone without having a vehicle. And I was very intentional on not rushing to buy. For those of you who don't know, who are just tuning in, I was actually involved in an accident about 6 or 7 months ago. My Acura TLX was totaled. And, it was right around the holidays. Literally, I just started a new job. So a lot going on. And, I was trying to focus on recovering. And I don't know about y'all, but I don't really like car shopping. And in a winter time, like, I was not looking forward to going to any type of car dealerships. I really was trying to focus on my recovery.
They be harassing you.
Yeah, they do. As soon as you start looking, even online, I did start that initially, and then I was like, no, this is a little too stressful. Let me go ahead and focus on my recovery. And also, I'm blessed to have a job that I work remotely. So I didn't have that pressure of having to get up and commute anywhere. So, and I wasn't really eager to get behind the wheel that quick either. So, but I did purchase a 2021 Ford Edge. I'm so excited. And I'm so excited because, you guys, the irony of it all is that when I first moved to Georgia, I had a Ford Edge. I actually traded my Ford Edge in. And anybody that knows me knows I like to have a large vehicle because I'm always doing something. I'm always hosting events. I'm always transporting materials for something. And so I missed having that cargo space when I had my TLX. But, I was just trying to flex a little bit. I'm new here, new job. And, my daughter was older. So it was the first time that I was actually able to purchase a luxury vehicle without having to worry about it being messed up. But yeah, so the Ford Edge that I have now has all the bells and whistles. It's the titanium.
Yes.
It has a beautiful, nice touch screen. I'm a techie, you guys, so I was really attracted to that. And I got my cargo space. So that means
that's right.
Your girl's going to be moving and shaking. So I'm super, super excited. But that's really been what I've been up to, just really recovering from my accident and, excited for my daughter. She's getting ready to go to the summer program for University of Georgia. So go dogs! Really excited for her to do that. And yeah, just really enjoying doing this podcast with you and just watching how, week after week, we just continue to um, fine tune our processes. And I'm excited. I'm really excited for us.
Me too.
We hope that you all have been enjoying this content, and we would love to hear your feedback. So by all means, please let us know in the comments below if there's any topics that you want to hear us talk about. Me and Candace, we have a lot of life experience, lived experience. We both are, educated women. We value research. We will get the data to back up what we're saying. But we are dedicated to educating, empowering, and enlightening our viewers. So if you're loving the content, please let us know. If you want us to add something, let us know.
Please.
Yes. So this topic today really was inspired for a few reasons. One, I personally have experienced bullying throughout my career, and there's now a new term called psychological safety, and specifically workplace psychological safety. So many people, especially, those of us who are from, marginalized communities, have experienced microaggressions and some toxic environments and really have not been able to speak up or have any type of protection from that. But these days, I'm happy to say that more and more workplaces are starting to talk about it. They're starting to have programs to help employees open up about it. And I just only see this helping people, be able to be more productive and have a healthy work-life balance. Yeah. So to give you guys more perspective or more insight onto this term, psychological safety, let me give you all the actual definition of psychological safety. So workplace bullying and mobbing are forms of psychological abuse. They violate an employee's inherent basic human right to dignity. Severe or pervasive infliction of toxic or unethical words or actions, intentional or unintentional, direct or indirect, targeted and or in a systemic manner, creates a toxic work environment that is offensive and a reasonable person would find unsuitable to perform the regular duties and tasks of their role. Yep. A single severe incident of such behavior may also constitute psychological abuse. Just one incident. Just one. Today, we're going to talk about the signs of both healthy workplaces and unhealthy workplaces. And I do just want to say also before we get started, another situation that inspired this topic was the loss of Dr. Antoinette Bonnie Candia Bailey. She was the Vice President of Student Affairs at Lincoln University, and she took her own life as a result of workplace bullying and, not having a psychologically safe workplace. She had emailed, her leader, who was the president of the university, and she had shared with HR that she had been dealing with some abuse and that it was affecting her mental health, and they did not take it seriously. Wow. And even to this day, they have conducted an investigation, and that president is still currently employed at Lincoln University. So there are still an ongoing efforts to have a external investigation conducted, which I truly believe they need to, because this woman's work ethic, her history, her impact says everything other than, she did not deserve to be treated that way. No one deserves to be treated that way. No. But for her to reach out and actually try to get some help from that environment and for it to be ignored, that is unacceptable. And innocent lives are lost to, people working in unsafe workplaces. I really wish I had those statistics right now.
Go ahead, pull it up.
So, workplace bullying can have severe mental health consequences, including increased risk of suicidal thoughts and behaviors. While precise statistics on suicides directly attributable to workplace bullying are difficult to pinpoint due to the complex interplay of personal, professional, and mental health factors, some research studies do highlight the significant impact. So I'll give you a few examples. So the increased risk. Studies have shown that individuals who experience workplace bullying are at a higher risk of considering attempting suicide. For instance, there was a study that was published by the American Journal of Public Health that found victims of workplace bullying had a twofold increase in suicidal ideation as compared to those that were not exposed to bullying. Globally, all right, now this is globally, according to the World Health Organization, there's a strong correlation between adverse work environments and mental health disorders, which can lead to suicidal ideation. Work-related stressors, including bullying, play a critical role. The statistical challenges. So many cases of suicide related to workplace bullying may be underreported.
I know it is.
Mm-hmm. This underreporting stems from the difficulty in linking a suicide directly and solely to workplace experiences due to multiple contributing factors. I was just mentioning about Dr. Candace Bailey.
Yep.
She, up until the day she took her life, was screaming, literally crying out for help, asking for someone to step in and to address what was happening to her. Whether it be, hey, maybe she might have needed to be moved to another position, or he needed to be, reviewed to see if he needed to be moved to another position. Whatever the case was, her attempt to get help was ignored. And then lastly, workplace cultures. In cultures where bullying is more pervasive and mental health support systems are less robust, the incidence of severe psychological outcomes, including suicide, can be higher. So again, I do want to just say, rest in power, Dr. Candace Bailey. I will continue to speak your name. I will continue to advocate for others who are experiencing workplace bullying. I myself have experienced workplace bullying, and I too had suicidal ideation. To think that those individuals who did that to me, if I would have taken my life, it would not have been worth it. So that is why I do feel compelled to continue being a voice for Dr. Candace Bailey, because that woman was such an inspiration and role model to so many, and to lose someone like her because of a workplace's carelessness to handle an employee's issue, it was a psychological safety issue. That's literally like that, they're liable. Addressing and mitigating workplace bullying is not just a legal obligation, it's a moral obligation. I don't know what your experience has been, but
I have experienced workplace bullying. This was actually in my early 20s when I was just getting my feet wet in HR. I was honestly...
Of all places, she said HR, y'all.
Yes.
HR.
HR. It was in an HR department for a company that wasn't well known. And had I did my research much further, I would have seen some of litigations that have been going on with them. But I didn't do a deep dive on this particular company. But the person I was reporting to, and I'll talk about it as we go along in this episode. But to answer your question, yes, I've experienced workplace bullying. So Angee, can you share a time when you didn't feel psychologically safe at work? So pretty much, how did it affect you, and what change would have made a difference?
Just like you were just saying, some of your earlier positions, like your earlier position, I would definitely say when I first started out working fast food retail, oh my gosh, it was so toxic. I mean, the leadership didn't have leadership skills. They just were just trying to get in and out, so it just was not it wasn't a space that was conducive to, it just really, it's almost like you were treated like you were a number. Like, if you're gone tomorrow, oh, well, you're going to get replaced the same day type of environment, especially in fast food. It just you didn't feel like they cared about you as a human being. And, gosh, I'm not going to name this retailer, but I worked in retail at one point. And I mean, I literally felt like I was enslaved, and I felt like I was doing somebody else's job and I should have been getting paid more. But me just being eager, and motivated to this was my first key holder position.
Right.
So it was kind of like a supervisor role. I felt like I was doing the job of the actual store manager. And yeah, I was being taken advantage of because I was, again, so eager and motivated, happy to work for this company, first of all, because I was a customer before I worked there. So I was loving the discount, loving again, having the experience of being, a supervisor of a team of associates.
Yep.
And we all know now I'm really awesome in marketing. So back then, when it came to setting up mannequins and setting up marketing stuff, like a lot of that stuff, I was there sometimes. Now, this is a store that was in a mall that closed at 9 o'clock. I would be there sometimes till 12, 1 a.m.
Angee.
Yeah, because I was told to, if I didn't get it done, that my job was on the line.
And you weren't salaried?
No, I wasn't salaried at that time.
Oh, they were taking advantage.
Oh my gosh. Once I finally realized it, what it was is, once I seen the senior leader, who's a district manager, once I seen the district manager and met her, I understood, like, this is like nepotism, some type of nepotism going on here, because she didn't really come off as someone who knew what she was doing. It was just like, she might have hired her friend kind of situation.
Yep.
That's what it felt like. In those environments where when people are not, when they don't have integrity when it comes to the hiring process, how can you expect them to cultivate an environment that has integrity and safety? A lot of times they're paranoid. They literally aren't psychologically safe themselves.
Okay. That's it, Angee. And it's so sad because because I'm wondering if having imposter syndrome, being in that type of role, that could cause you to treat other people like negatively, especially if you.
Yeah, they didn't earn it. They didn't earn it, but somebody else is doing the job that they can't do.
Exactly. So that might not be, I might be throwing the word imposter syndrome in the wrong context, but if you are in a position that you really, truly, probably didn't earn, and then you're not trained, yeah.
And somebody else is working harder than you, and they outshining you, that could. And looking back on those situations where I've experienced bullying, that is exactly what it was. They were intimidated by my work ethic, by my skills. I experienced it in corporate.
Yep.
In corporate, I've experienced different forms of bullying in corporate. It wasn't like in retail, the bullying came like directly from my manager a lot of times. In corporate, I've experienced bullying from peers, from, me being, and I'm going to just put it out, me being mixed race. Y'all going to keep on hearing that. But by me being mixed in corporate, I have a Hispanic last name, but I show up and I am Black cultured, okay? Born and raised and grew up in Black culture. And so that's just who I am. And it didn't sit well with certain people. So because of that, I was given a hard time a lot of times for no reason. Challenged a lot, had to work a lot harder than other people because some people just thought I was privileged, and then I only got in a position because of my looks, or especially when I got into my management career. At this point I had 2 degrees, at an associates in computer information systems and a bachelor's in business administration. And I could never go to HR to report the instances because I didn't feel like HR would understand, especially the dynamic within the Black community, because a lot of times I was bullied by other Black women in the workplace. And then the Hispanics, because I'm mixed with Puerto Rican, I've even mentioned this, I think, on a previous episode, that when I was in a management position, I had subordinates bullying me because they conspired to get me fired. There was a rumor around the call center that I was a fake Puerto Rican. When I found that out, then it made everything, I understood now why I was getting these false reports to HR from that group of individuals. Because, had that person not shared that when they were interviewed through, the investigation, had that information not been revealed, I would have never known. Well, I'm not going to say I would have never known. Yeah, I would have never known that they were saying that.
Yeah.
I was like, what does that have to do with anything?
Anything. Nothing with my work performance, first
right,
of all.
Because I don't speak Spanish fluently. And so that type of bullying, when you're being bullied from your subordinates,
Right.
your direct reports, that is very difficult to prove to HR, because HR is looking at you like you're an extension of HR. You know, like we're partnering, but it's like, is a manager protected from being discriminated against or, you know, lied on because people just don't like you because of their biases, you know? So it's been a struggle for me. My career, as a result of toxic cultures, I have had to bounce around from job to job, which affects my career development.
I can relate.
It can, you know, it can affect a person's career development, because you might have the education, but if you're not allowed to get that on the job, hands-on training and development, then the company loses money, you lose the opportunity to advance and grow. But ultimately it does fall back on the company's bottom line, because you're hiring these people that have the qualifications, but you're not actually getting out what you're investing in them to bring them on board. I felt like if they had a more diverse HR department, I was already feeling like, okay, majority of the HR were Caucasian women.
Yep.
And they may have one Asian, maybe one Black person, maybe a Hispanic. I don't think I've ever seen a Hispanic like literally in HR. But there were no people that were mixed like me. So how could I go to HR and say, hey, you know, I'm being treated unfairly by particular individuals? It, oftentimes they were low performing individuals. Let me just make that clear. So I just never even felt comfortable to speak up, because what I look like as a manager going to HR.
Wow. But I'm so happy you brought that perspective, though. Like, people really don't think of managers getting bullied in the workplace, but it's a very real thing, especially when you have aggressive subordinates, like subordinates that don't even care.
No home training.
No home
Let's
training.
Just keep it 100.
Yes. Yes. When your direct reports could care less about learning about emotional intelligence, they could care less about how you feel, right? So yeah,
they don't respect authority. They have always had issues with authority. It can, you know, that type of behavior. If they've had issues with authority figures all their life, that carries over into their corporate career as well. And my thing is you mentioned emotional intelligence. I can honestly say that if it were not for my corporate career, I would not have known what emotional intelligence was. I worked in customer service, and that's where I first heard the term. And I was eager. I've always been a little nerdy. So I was eager to learn about it. And once I actually understood what it was something that I already had. I just didn't know the name.
Exactly.
Didn't have the name. But once I knew what it was, now I'm empowered. Because what I'm actually doing when I'm behaving this way and I'm acknowledging people's feelings and I'm being empathetic, this is what they want us to do. But here I'm naturally doing it. So I know that I am a good fit for this role. Yes. But why do I keep on encountering barriers? Why? And it's usually the people who do not have the emotional intelligence to do the bullying. Literally. So in the one environment that I worked in most recently, not my current employer, but the last employer I had, I was wrongfully terminated. And it was a result of them not really having any, they did not operate ethically. They had a HR department, but literally there was no real accountability about their policies. They were not treating people equally. They were just, it was like selective performance management. It's, and like you were mentioning, you work for a smaller company. Well, this was a nonprofit organization, a nonprofit funded with, government funding, our tax dollars, and to just know that an organization that is being funded to reduce harm in the community was actually creating harm for someone like myself who just wanted to help the mission and was fully equipped and capable to do that. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Completely corrupt, completely toxic.
Absolutely. With that being said, that particular type of environment, they did not really have many programs that were designed to even address any type of bullying. They didn't have anything in place to help people. They didn't have trainings about emotional intelligence. They just have you read policy, procedure, sign off on it when you start the job, and that's it. No development. right? So, in organizations that have diversity, equity, inclusion programs, do you think that those programs make us feel safer, or do you think that they're causing unintended harm?
I do think that they allow the unseen to feel seen, or at least be seen. Even you have told me about creating a business resource group. Well, I guess you could say small community groups, and especially when it comes to corporate, it definitely helps you connect with people in the same boat as you. You can literally form mentorships, right? I know when I used to work at Amazon, they had a lot of these different mini groups. There was the African American group, but I might be saying it wrong, like Black Society type of group for Amazon, or Black community for Amazon. I know I'm messing up the name, but you all follow me. There was Asians for Amazon,
Yes.
Blacks for Amazon, the LBGQ. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but they had a community at Amazon. All of that really does matter. Again, I can't stress it enough. It helps people feel seen, and you have the opportunity to connect with someone like you, right? Typically, I think you get bullied, or this is just in the world of Candace, but I think you are a higher target if you feel like you are isolated. If you feel like you can't connect with anyone, you tend to be the person that probably doesn't feel like you even have support. So I'll even mention this. I was on TikTok, and there was a person that he was saying how he's HIV positive, and it was a very supportive live. He invited a lot of other people that were HIV positive, and he told one of the people on there, he's like, hey, whenever you decide to go live or go public and try to stand for our community, let me know. Bring me into your lives so that I can have your back in case somebody talks mess.
Yeah.
He offered that support.
That allyship.
So just imagine being able to be a part of a smaller community that is developed at your corporate organization or wherever you're working. You're developing a strong bond, a family type of connection, to where, who knows? That's why I said mentorship. Who knows? There could be a C-level exec in these smaller communities. There could be someone in a higher level upper management position in a group that you decide to put yourself in. And say if you're having trouble with your manager, you can literally tell this person that's in your group,
because they're now a peer.
They're
a peer in that environment. It's a safe space.
Exactly. It's a safe space. So it does help.
Yeah.
It does help, because they can have your back. They can fight for you. They see you all have already built rapport because you put yourself in this smaller community or this group, this ERG or BRG. You literally are creating an allyship at your team.
Yes,
yeah.
It's the safe space. And what I love about BRGs and inclusion communities are that they actually they're the foundation, right? So Candace mentioned that at Amazon they had different communities, right? A lot of corporate, including the one I work for, corporations have them. And think about each of those spaces as individual safe spaces that not just the people who identify with those groups are a part of, but they want and encourage people of all walks of life and backgrounds to join them, because it's a safe space. So if you enter it, you're entering in with curiosity.
Right.
You're entering in with, the willingness to learn, about this community. And it's the curiosity that it is what you need to really be an effective ally. You need to be curious. What is it like to walk in this person's shoes? How better to know that than to join a community, hear the stories, understand, the different challenges that they face. And so that's how I'm a part of the Black BRG, the Latinx, the LGBTQ, the Asian Pacific. I get in all of those groups because I have employees that are members of those communities.
Yep.
I have family members that are members of those communities. Yep. So, listen, I have been in a couple different webinars and workshops that, let's say, the Asian Pacific will host, and I'll be the only person in there. All they see is my little profile picture, we call it my avatar, and they'll see my name, Hispanic, but they don't know I'm a mixed person, right? All they see is the picture and the name. And they probably, first thing is probably thinking, like, what is she doing up in here? Right? But in reality, they should be like, oh, I appreciate that she's up in here.
She's in here.
Because now I can be a voice. I can take the information I learned, what I learned just from engaging with that community. I can be a voice for them when they're not around.
That's right.
That's the thing. So yeah, those are definitely effective. Absolutely. And again, the key is they're already safe spaces.
And I really wish when I was at Amazon that I took advantage of the BRG groups, because there were so many times, you know, where I didn't feel that supported as far as like moving up the ladder, because I was living in Alabama at the time and I really wanted to move over to Georgia. And, you know, they always tell you, hey, try to connect with this person, or they try to link you up, but it's different when you're not. I don't want to just go to a random higher ranked person just because you're higher ranked and I think you could do something for me.
Right.
There's nothing
that can
there.
Come off inauthentic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think if I had took the initiative and putting myself in those type of circles intentionally, that could have opened some doors for me.
Let me tell you, when I make certain connections, and it's not just at my current employment, there's been other organizations I've worked in and I've made those connections.
Right.
You know, the first thing their perception is, oh, she only got in that room because of her skin tone. You know? But really, no, I literally put myself out there. I networked. I put myself in position. I felt the uncomfort. You know, if it was going to a networking event and I went by myself for something the organization was hosting and you want to network, even if I didn't have no one else to go with, I would be the type to take that risk. And that's how you make those connections. And then when opportunities come about or your name is being spoken in rooms that you're not in, that's how it happens. Unfortunately, you know, we have to get away from always assuming that because a person is light skinned or we perceive that they have privilege, that's how they're moving up. There really are individuals like myself who really work hard, you know, because I don't want anybody to think that I am just skating through life easily. It's not been easy at all. I mean, I have had some advantages and I can admit that. But the amount of bullying I've had, it kind of cancels any type of advantage that I do have or did have. The bullying that I encounter, it cancels it right on out. So really, is being light-skinned really a privilege to me in corporate? Absolutely not. It has not served me at all. Everything I have earned in corporate, I've worked double, really hard. Really.
Yeah, let's talk about the pressure of sharing. All right.
Ooh.
Yeah, because, you know, some jobs or some corporations are really trying to build these authentic connections amongst their team. So is the push for sharing everything about ourselves at work creating a little too much pressure?
I think there are different personality types, and I think that some people are naturally reserved. You have introverts and extroverts, and some people, and I've even had an employee tell me that they just came outright and told me one time. It was a one-on-one that I was having, and they just kind of told me that because they were kind of standoffish, and I kind of noticed it. And they basically told me that they were kind of introverted. They really wasn't interested in engaging with everybody. They just kind of want to sign in, do their job, and go home.
Understand.
And I said, and then they also said that it takes them some time to warm up to people, because if it's forced, it comes off as fake. And this person told me that, and I was receptive to that. I'm like, I understand. So I never pushed that particular individual to do, you know, to participate in anything that required sharing. Right. It was always optional. So I would say, if a person is in a leadership role, the best thing that you can do is you have to cultivate that safe space. So you share first. You share. And you really have to be intentional about creating an environment where people feel safe to share. So, taking that initiative. If there are other people on the team who are extroverts who don't mind sharing, creating opportunities for them to share, and really to have an effective team, it requires trust.
Ooh, I was just about to say that.
But some people, again, the ones that have issues with authoritative figures, they immediately take a combative approach. They're immediately on the defense all the time, and they don't realize that it's a hindrance to their progress, but also they end up impacting the other team members. Having a negative Nancy, or one bad apple
Spoils the bunch.
Not on my team, okay? One thing about me, if there is somebody, I'm going to work with everybody, because I realize I do give grace. I realize that everybody has had different experiences in their career, like myself. Because of some of the things that I've encountered in my career, I could have absolutely taken an approach of, okay, the next position I go into, I'm going to be just staying to myself, because I ain't got that, I don't want to deal with it type of attitude. Right. And that comes off as defensive. It comes off as, it actually can offend other people. So what I did was, when I joined my new organization, I was looking for an inclusion community, a safe space that outside of my team that reports to me, and out of my team, my peers, I had another support system. So I immediately start looking at those BRGs, and what I noticed, which I had noticed in other organizations, is they didn't have a group for mixed individuals. And I was just like, not in 2023. Now, this was last year. Not in 2023, when mixed individuals are, one of the highest, fastest growing demographics in this country. I saw that as an opportunity to be a voice and to advocate. Because just because those numbers are reflecting in the country census doesn't mean that there's that representation in corporate. Even though we're there, some people are passing as... You got some mixed people that don't want to say that they're mixed. You got some gay people that don't want to say that they're gay. Right. But this is why it's, I took the initiative to create the, it's called Multiracial Americans at my employer. But I created that because I wanted other mixed people to know that there is a safe space that identifies and recognizes that they exist, and that there's a space where understanding is available, and not just understanding, but the recognition of, hey, you actually exist, the issues that you've encountered, you're not alone. So I would encourage anybody out there who is feeling like they're being othered, whether it be because of your race, your skin color, nationality, religion, whatever, seek out those inclusion communities. And if there's not one for how you identify, take the chance and create one. Right. Yeah.
Right. Oh, yes. You don't have to wait to sit at somebody else's table.
Yes.
You bring the table or create the table yourself.
After I was wrongfully terminated, one thing I said, and I believe I posted this on my LinkedIn, after that experience at this tenure in my career, I said, you know what? As a leader, I have to go and create the safe spaces that I seek to have. If they're not going to be there, I have to take. That's what a leader does.
That's what a leader does.
Yes,
that was good.
Thank you. Yes.
That was good.
If you like crocheting and you want to connect with the other people that crochet at your job, because you need a network of supportive people who see you and understand when you clock out, you are getting your needles and you are creating. Like, create that community.
Yes.
Because there might be a senior leader, or there might be someone, you never know.
You never know.
So to answer your question, to sum up my answer, I do believe that if you share with purpose at work, it can be beneficial for everybody.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. People who are not comfortable sharing, let it be optional. Let it be optional.
They don't have to join.
No. Once they see how others are engaging authentically and they can be comfortable being themselves, they'll want to experience that as well. Because for many people have never experienced a safe, psychologically safe workplace. And that's why I said my current employer is amazing. I'm so thankful and proud to be a part of that organization and be a part of the change.
Mm-hmm. Like, comment, and subscribe, and you might find out where Angee works.
Might be able to get you in there. We are hiring.
Yo, because sometimes she's slick be having me want to join her team. So, no, that's awesome.
You are a part of my team.
Look, you better say that.
Yes. You know, especially in today's society where a lot of people work remotely. Like Candace and I both. Like she's out in the field some days, but she also works remote. So that's like a hybrid model.
Yes.
So how do you feel that has changed our feelings of safety and inclusion at work?
I'm not gonna lie. It really has depended on the people in leadership to really determine how safe and included I felt. So let me give you an example. When I used to work at one company, I bonded with the manager so well, and I was completely remote. But we bonded so well. I don't know if it was because we were in the trenches, we were getting it out the mud, trying to stay afloat because we were responsible. I was recruiting. We had to recruit for so many managers. We had so many requisitions, and it was just me and her. So maybe that had something to do with the rapport and the strong bond that we now have to this day. She's always made me feel included. I never felt secluded, excluded. She's always vouched for me. In fact, I mean, I remember her saying such great things about me when I worked there that, I mean, even her manager's manager gifted me, you know, with like a gift card one time. And I'm like, where did this come from?
Right.
But it's because she spoke so highly of me. And remember, we were completely remote. She lived in Charlotte. I lived in Mobile, and then I moved back to near Atlanta, Georgia. So, but now I'm in a position to where I feel like I have a great team, great leaders, but it's a different bond. I think you have to really connect with your leaders, really connect with your managers when it comes to whether or not you feel safe or included, or if you feel, you know, excluded. It really, I think, depends on the bond that you have with your manager. And like you said, if they from the get-go, off the rip, are very transparent with you from the get-go, if they really do open the door and set the stage up to where, okay, I feel like I can trust you, that makes a huge difference, right? And I can tell you, from the manager that I really clicked with at my all fully remote position, this lady is so transparent. Sometimes she would tell me things that she was like, dang, did I really say that? You did. You did. I love the fact that she was so real with me. Very transparent. There was no hide and go seek. There was no surprises. There was no, I'm going to send you an email and then, you know, bark in the email. And then when you get on the phone, like, hi, we're still friends, right?
Oh, yeah, that's not effective at all.
There was none of that. I completely trusted her. I could go on and on about how much I love her. Hi, Kelly. I'm putting her out there. Kelly. Let me tell you something about Kelly. She invested into her team. One way to really show that you care about your folks or anybody on your team is show them that you value them so much that you're willing to invest in them. This lady gave me and my other colleague books. It was audio books. I actually think it was called The 7 Effective Habits of...
That's my favorite by Stephen R. Covey,
yes!
Girl. Listen, Kelly, girl, thank you. That's amazing.
Kelly, my girl.
That is what you... Listen, and that when you said it's an investment, absolutely. Yeah, that book right there is a gift that keeps giving. I've had that book for over 10 years now.
And it's still relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is, I love that. Continue. I'm
yes.
sorry.
No. I'm so happy to hear like your excitement about the book, because that's how awesome it was. Like Kelly, she invested into me. She always, like, when you know how when you have these one-on-ones with your managers, I mean, sometimes you can feel like it's a bit inauthentic. Like we just checking the box.
Yes.
There was never no checking the box with Kelly. Ever. It was very like, okay, so tell me how you feeling.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And she would let me know, like, Candace, I really think you're performing at this level. We need to go ahead and get you promoted at this level.
Thank you.
Please don't leave me. Like, she was literally, she had my back in so many different situations. So many different situations that I respected her so much. So it makes a difference. But if you don't show me that you have my back, right, it makes a difference. But I'm not, look, that's just one example.
No, that's leaders out there. Listen, this is real feedback, and people need to hear that. You know,
Right.
I mean, me personally, I am that type of leader,
Yes.
and some people are always taken aback when we have our first one-on-one because I'm like, look, we're not talking about anything work related. And this is where the one person who told me she was an introvert, she kind of felt because we weren't talking about work that it was like not real, like it was phony. And I'm like, she was not used to that type of level of human. Like, I'm a human being like you. Like, let's start off on just a human level before we have any titles or roles. Let's just talk.
Right.
How you doing?
Right.
You know. And so for her, it may have come off inauthentic because it's like, how dare you? Some people are like, how dare you not talk about business? No, before the business gonna be there. Before we could get to the business, I need you to know that I see you. I want to see you even more. I want to understand how I can be the best support to you because it's going to differ from people to people. So if you're not a extrovert, you don't like to participate in, I definitely needed to hear that. So now I know moving forward how to approach you. I've never done the book thing for my team, but I've always gifted my team amazing gifts over the years. Anybody out there that's been on my team, y'all know I spoiled my team. I would do, like, we were talking about, like, the donuts and pizza is not enough, but it's like those type of things, just acknowledging that your team did accomplish something and just, showing up and surprising them and acknowledging and recognizing it does matter. I think that now because we become more remotely, it's harder to do those type of, connection and team building activities. Right. So if you are leading a team or if you're on a team, it definitely requires more intention. So yeah, but I'm still that type of leader, and I feel that people come into their workspace with their experiences. And if they've had toxic workplaces, when they get a leader that is literally, I tell my team all the time, like, the title just comes with more responsibility, different responsibility, but I'm still on this team. Like, we're still all in this together. I give my team opportunities to lead our huddles. I give them developmental opportunities. Some of the very first one-on-ones that I have with my team, I talk about what are their career goals. That way I know that when we do meet, that is a motivator for them. That's something that motivates them. And if there's any way that, like, I'll create opportunities for my team to be able to, like, stretch assignments so that they can demonstrate those skills. So when opportunities do become available, I can already refer and recommend because this person has demonstrated that they're willing to go above and beyond their role, to help the team, the team have a shared success. Leaders today have to be emotionally intelligent. They need to do temperature checks with the team, especially in a remote environment. You have to do that temperature check to make sure that not just each individual on your team is doing well psychologically. Checking in. How you doing? You good? Everything all right with you?
That matters.
And providing them with resources. Sometimes we'll have a huddle and it's just about wellness. Like, we'll watch a video that's just, one time, girl.
What happened?
I led a meditation with my team.
I wish I could have been a part of that.
I did. It was literally Wellness Wednesday. And you know how they'll have those videos on YouTube that have the music. Yes. And then they'll have, like, the breathing, the little bubble that breathes. You inhale, exhale. So I did a guided meditation. And I'm not skilled in that. But I wanted to do the exercise with my team. And I was like, instead of just playing this boring video, let me speak to what is really going on with them. And because we work in a contact center environment,
Right.
as I'm speaking, as they're breathing in and out, I'm like, that last call you were on, it's gone. Don't let it stress you.
Mm.
That next member you speak to, they're a whole different person. You are more than capable of assisting. Just speaking positive affirmations, and they really enjoyed and appreciated that. They was not expecting that at all. But little things like that do matter.
Yes, and you literally opened the door to something new that many people actually don't really know. A lot of people don't know about meditation, or that it's not weird to just take some time to sit down and
close your eyes and breathe.
Breathe. It's okay to do that. And oh my gosh, you just reminded me another thing that Kelly did.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
She gifted me with the Calm app.
Yes. Our job, I love my job. We all have the free premium Calm app.
Yes.
And they encourage us to use the Calm app throughout the day. Literally. I do. And there's a certain time of day where I have to put that Calm app on and just let the soundscapes play. And it definitely helps, because in a remote environment, you got all these people coming at you. It's not like when you were in a physical office. Everybody can't come at your desk at the same time. But in a virtual environment, 4 or 5 people could be pinging you at the same time, pulling you in all kind of different directions.
Right.
So yeah, at a certain time of day, I put that Calm app on, and I'm like my most productive when I have that calm, peaceful, environment mood. I would never put the onus on my team to create the space. I'm the leader. It is my responsibility to foster that and to encourage them to contribute to that, because they're the next leaders. So it's my job to help them see the value in it, see how it improves their day. I always tell them, how can I make I always heard people say, how can I make my boss's job easier? No, it's my job to make y'all job easy, because if you have the tools and resources that you need to do your job, it's not going to feel like you doing a job.
That's a leader, y'all.
It's my job to remove those barriers. So yeah, it's never going to be on your team members if you're in leadership. Now, speaking to team members, I would say anybody who is serious about growing in their career, you really need to give your leader grace. Give them an opportunity. Give them a chance. Nobody is perfect. They're still a human being. And you still do have the ability to help foster that safe workspace. And that in and of itself is demonstrating leadership right there. Individuals like that, they tend to be, promoted faster.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Angee, I have a question for you. I don't know how to segue into this.
Flip it and reverse it?
Flip it and reverse it.
Okay.
So I'm just going to simply ask you this question.
Yes.
Have you ever hesitated to give constructive criticism to anyone on your team for fear of possibly hurting their feelings?
I got to think about that one. I would say early in my leadership career, yes. And because you could go through all the leadership training they have, but every person is still an individual, and you have to meet individuals where they are. So I wasn't aware of that aspect of it, that it's not just black and white. So yeah, there would be times where I knew that somebody was sensitive, did not, or I had possibly received feedback from maybe another manager about that individual. Hey, this person doesn't receive feedback well. So that just kind of added pressure on me, like, okay, I'm already expecting this person not to take this well. So then you kind of overthink it. That was me before. Now, I just always, from the very beginning, when I acquire a new team or a new individual joins my team, I let them know up front, like, my approach to leadership, which is really about partnership. It's about helping them do their job and serving them. So they already know when you're getting feedback from me, it's like 9 times out of 10, they already know the feedback is coming, right? But it's a conversation. This is not a reprimand. This is not to say that you're not good at your job. This is just an opportunity for growth. every bit of feedback that you get is literally an opportunity for growth. So it's all about reframing and repositioning. Positive positioning is what it's called. So yeah, I would say anybody out there that has to give feedback to their team members or even to your peers, I've had to coach sideways and upwards. Yeah, that is absolutely necessary because some of those people who you work alongside or some people who you report to might be experiencing a toxic situation. Maybe their manager is toxic, and because they're not psychologically safe, it spills onto their team. Or maybe they neglect the psychological needs of their team and they just treat them like they're just numbers. They're not, you know, that literally, when that happens, you guys, if you're experiencing that, I would say take into account their leadership. Because like I was saying, when I worked in retail, when I seen the district manager came in there and was just no communication skills, didn't know how to address us as, I wasn't an associate, but imagine a district manager coming in and not acknowledging or speaking to the associates on the floor. I knew right then and there, I'm like, she's out of touch. She is so out of touch. She just getting that money. She's just all about numbers. The human aspect of a leadership role hadn't been taken into consideration from what I saw. And I'm just like, that's not a leader. That's a dictator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And I think it takes a lot of courage for a person to give feedback up the ladder. There's a lot of fear towards what this person could do to reprimand me or anyone that I'm associated with. That's a very real fear. I have had friends that have given honest feedback to their managers, and then lo and behold, you find it out you getting terminated from your position just by giving honest feedback.
Wow.
Yeah, that's toxic.
Yeah, that's very toxic.
In a lot of corporations, I'm not going to say this particular one, but there is a particular corporation that gets away with a lot of toxic stuff. But they are number one in many areas. They are successful in many areas.
So how many people have suffered?
Yes, but you always hear about how toxic it is working there. Yeah, it was very messed up. It's like, wow, you really feel like you can't really truly be your authentic self if you feel like you know, honestly. And I think, and for this particular person, I think it was time for him to move on. I think he needed to be above his manager. Yeah, he needed to be in a role above his manager because he understood that feedback is not always meant to be taken negatively. Mm-hmm. It actually could help you and your team perform 10 times better than where you're currently at.
Yes.
So that's why I do think emotional intelligence is very key. You gotta understand the ins and outs of feedback, actually having hard conversations. If you start practicing it with the people that you love, it might make it easier to practice in your work environment.
Wow.
And it doesn't get, I have had to work on having hard conversations.
We call them crucial conversations. Mm-hmm.
And I will say that, yeah, if you're able to have these conversations in your intimate life, your personal life with friends, then you're kind of building the backbone to have these conversations in your work environment as well.
Yeah, there's actually, I took a training actually twice called Crucial Conversations, actually based on a book called Crucial Conversations. Mm-hmm. Some corporations have invested, in that training program where they'll supply you with the book. I still have the book. It's in my library. It's in my library. But yeah, it talks about having conversations when the stakes are high. Yes. And so the stakes are high when you're coaching up, right? The stakes are high when you're coaching a team member who is just not cooperative at all. The stakes are high as a leader. The stakes are high because you already know this individual is displaying they don't have integrity. They're not a team player. They're defensive. So when you say anything to them, they're looking for a reason to either report you to HR, get falsely accuse you, I've had people try to give me feedback, but it's only come after they are in a position where they haven't been performing, and then the feedback is not genuine. The feedback that they're saying sometimes is just exaggerated, or it's just to what they say CYA, cover your ass. But it cannot be substantiated through my work. Like everything I do is the opposite of what the person is saying. I literally have had. I have to share this. And if this person ever sees this, I pray that you have changed your attitude about working in corporate. I pray that you have made improvements in how you work with others, not just leadership, but with people. This person was not performing on my team. She was a very low performer. She was not receptive to feedback. I would have the coachings with her. I would, give her the different training that she needed. We would have our one-on-ones. I would give her, we would have a conversation. I literally would ask her, is there something going on? What's going on with you? What do you think is impacting your performance? What is it that what barriers are you running into? She had an issue with schedule adherence. She would not adhere to her schedule. And it was just a lot of excuses. And she ended, and I don't want to put her business out there because I'll say this, there was a protected situation going on with her.
Okay.
But as her manager, I did everything that I was supposed to do legally to make sure that she was accommodated.
Right.
But even though she had that, she still was not meeting expectation. So this young lady composed an email, and not only did she send it to the vice president of this company, she copied the whole management team and basically was just ripping me to shreds. That I was just saying all kind of nasty things, just really trying to tarnish my reputation.
Whoa.
Even though my performance was contrary to what she was saying.
Right.
It's just the fact that you have put me on the radar of senior leadership and my peers, and even mentioned the protected situation as almost to say that I was targeting her or treating her unfairly because of the situation. That's not me. Everybody knows me. I don't operate like that. However, I was so thankful when the vice president called me in his office. This was when we were still physically. He was actually not the vice president of the company. He was the vice president of that department, of that line of business.
Okay.
Called me in his office and just apologized. Said, I'm so sorry that you have to deal with this. And I felt seen that day. I felt seen that day. I truly felt seen that day because I was not expecting that. When he called me in his office, I really never had a one-on-one conversation with him before. I would just see him every once in a while, walk through the hall. He might come into our meetings and things, but I just never had a one-on-one interaction with him. So when he asked me to come to his office, I'm like, oh Lord, I already knew what it was about. But all he said to me was, I'm so sorry that you have to deal with this and keep up the great work.
Wow.
And was like, have a great day. I was just like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. So again, individuals like that who do facetious things like that and try to ruin someone's reputation because they don't want to do their job, it will backfire. I don't know if that person is still with that company. I doubt it because when she was with me, she was on her way out the door. But wherever she is, again, I do pray that she has changed. And if not, just be aware that leaders, especially senior leaders, they have had to go through similar things in their career. And so they know. So they know. So if you want to try those type of things, just know that you will stand out, but not in a good way. And that you are not creating that behavior is not conducive to a psychologically safe environment. So if organizations and especially their HR departments are really pushing for people to feel safe, then that type of behavior should be grounds for immediate termination. Yeah. You can't be lying on people.
No.
That right there, you cannot be lying on people because do you know how could you imagine how that
humiliating?
Girl,
like, you don't put me on blast, and I was really trying to help you.
Oh my God! Listen, I didn't get into. I listen. I am a humanitarian. I have always, despite my being bullied, despite how people have treated me, I have this desire to help people. I can't control it. So I don't care if it's at work, in the neighborhood, wherever. That is innately, I feel that way, right? So in those environments, that's why I enjoy being a leader, because I know I'm in a position to help other people's careers grow. I'm able to help people who might come from similar backgrounds as me, who may have never felt seen in corporate. I can understand that they're carrying a heavy load. And I can, again, every person is an individual. Not saying that I play favoritism or treat them any better, but I see them and I understand their struggle. And I keep that in mind. These are things that, require emotional intelligence, right? So to anybody that's been on my team, I've definitely had some people on my team that they're still connecting me on LinkedIn, or they have my personal cell phone, or every once in a while. I don't want to start calling people's names, because they might be like, I ain't heard from you in a minute. But I have had people call me up and say, where are you? I want to come work where you are, kind of thing. Like, yeah. So that's definitely, it makes it all worth it. Yeah. So I've given you my perspective as a leader. Now I want to know a little bit more about your experience with your leaders. Have you ever felt that you were undermined by a manager, either through their actions or words? And has a manager ever been condescending towards you?
Yes, I can relate to when you said you really experienced bad treatment when you were at fast food restaurants. I definitely have experienced that. This wasn't at a particular fast food restaurant. This was actually more of a fine dining, but less than fine dining place.
Was it
fine
was
dining.
it Papados?
No, I don't even think they're on the Papados level. Oh, they like, girl, how would you describe Red Lobster?
Oh, exactly how you did. Just exactly. It didn't click, but yeah, I see what
they're
you mean.
not. Yeah,
They
they're not
act
up
like
there,
they're up there, but they really.
But
ain't.
they're not. So,
the biscuits is good though.
Yeah. So my experience with, I would say, working there, I remember I was so busy. I was a server at the time. I was so busy. And this particular manager, he asked me to do an errand. And I told him, I'll do it right when I come back. And you know how I am. Mm-hmm. My friends know how I am. I think I am a very kind-hearted person.
Yeah.
I would never tell a manager, no, I'm doing what I want to do. Right. But I literally told him, okay, give me 2 seconds and I'll be right back. I came back to see what he needed help with, right? And then he was like, go ahead and get off. Go ahead and clock off.
Whoa.
And I was like, dang, so this is how you treat people underneath you? Yeah, I think it was either that day or a couple of days later. I had already had my resignation letter typed up.
Yes.
It was so funny. Yeah. And he was trying to make it seem as though, like, you sure you don't need us? You sure you don't need this money? It might be a while before you... He was saying some pretty condescending stuff as if I couldn't find... you sure you want to
After you gave your resignation?
Yeah, I handed it over. And he was just like, you sure you want to do this? Absolutely, I'm sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, after the fact, he realized your value. He ain't really wanted to quit, y'all.
Yeah, and I think he realized how much of an effect that tone, what he did was just so... That was just so ugly.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have to do that. What if I had kids and a family to feed and you had the power to let me go? Right. So you just used your power and abused it because you were trying to...
His ego.
It was his ego because you were trying to enforce or let me know. You were trying to check me and let me know who's boss.
Right. Oh.
That is super toxic. I'm just happy I left that situation because, boy, talk about feeling some type of way coming into work.
Yeah. Wow.
There was another situation where I remember how I was telling you I was working at this position. They weren't really big, and had I did some deep diving, I would have seen the red flags. So I was in this HR department, reported to this HR director. At first, I thought she was, oh, wow, she's awesome. She can relate to me, until I started seeing red flags. And here's the thing, like, it was like she was slick with the bullying. So there were times she made comments to where, she's like, Candace, are you sure you don't want, I think you'll probably be better as a receptionist.
What?
Knowing good and well that I wanted to move up the ladder in HR. So that was a form of bullying, and I didn't even give a 2 weeks notice. I do respect, I still think about the conversations we've had, because this was somebody that I, was looking up to, but it was some things that crossed the line. And I'm like, that was very condescending.
Very.
And I don't have to tolerate that.
That's right.
And I was ready to go, because when you feel like someone has crossed the line with you, then they've crossed the line. Maya Angelou has this quote, I don't know it verbatim, but I'm going to try my best to repeat what she stated. You don't remember what people did for you. You don't remember, I guess, the
people
things.
Will forget what you said.
Yes.
They'll forget what you did, but they won't forget how you made them feel.
Exactly. Exactly. And I remember every single moment of how I felt with the manager from this particular restaurant I worked at. And I remember how I felt working at this particular job, and how she made me feel. And it got so bad to where I knew my self-esteem was getting low. I called an ex-manager of mine just to try to get some validation. Like, do you really think I'm like this? Do you really think? So when you don't really have a strong belief in yourself, or if you're not confident, having a bully in the workplace can make your experience 10 times worse. It can literally shake your own beliefs about yourself.
You can feel trapped.
You can feel trapped.
It is a very how can I say, it's oppressive, actually, because especially when someone is in a position of leadership and they have that, that power, that authority, and they abuse it, you really, it makes you feel powerless, and it even robs you of your dignity. Because how dare somebody, knowing that this, this job may be the thing that is paying your bills.
Right.
That is, you can't just toy with people's livelihood like that, because your ego is bothered, or to stroke your own ego.
That's what it is.
It's just hearing you say that individual said that, it's like, and what the manager said at Red Lobster, it just screams they're not leaders.
Mm-hmm.
They're people. They might have lied on their resume.
Mm-hmm.
People that lie on their resume show up in those positions and really do not they're not equipped with the skills, the fundamental skills, how to communicate with people. One thing about leaders, you have to have a spirit of lifelong learning. You have to always be available and willing to continuously grow and learn, because society changes, generations change, and I just think that people who are like that, they themselves probably have experienced bullying. And I'm going to use an example. When we see police officers who take and abuse their authority, a lot of times these are police officers, these were individuals who were bullied in school, or who felt inferior. And so now that they're in a position of authority and they abuse that, it makes them feel
be superior. Like,
yeah, it's really sickening. It's really a sick thing that a person can do. So we're talking about psychological safety, and the people who are actually doing the bullying are not psychologically well. They're not. To do that.
How can managers avoid just treating the symptoms of workplace discomfort instead of the root causes? There are many times where managers try to sweep the toxicness under the rug, right? And then they just try to, let's do a fun activity. Knowing good and well, there's a reason why your team is the way it is. So what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I think the leader should be equipped with the skills to be able to lead a team, first and foremost, and to be able to assess the team's behavior, to be able to request and be open to feedback. Because to me, no team is the same. Everybody's an individual, and then those individuals come together, and the dynamic that is created the leader is responsible for ensuring that everybody feels seen and ensuring that everybody's voice is heard. So if a leader is just trying to kind of brush things under the rug and think that fun activities are going to make the team cooperate, it's that's not an effective method. I'll say from my own experience, what I have learned is that teams cooperate more when they have input, when they're able to contribute their ideas, when they're able to speak up and without fear of retaliation, without fear of, like, I encourage my team. I'm like, y'all, I know y'all got some good ideas. What do y'all want to do? Because yeah, I'm creative. Yes, I can come up with all these great ideas we should do, but the way that you're going to get them to participate is by doing something that they actually want to do. And some of the symptoms like burnout and even, people calling out because they're just stressed, right? The absenteeism could be it could be related to the job, right? So I think that instead of trying to treat the symptoms, a true leader is going to get to the bottom, but by effectively communicating with their team. It could be one-on-one if it's like a one-off individual, or during your team meetings, just open the floor and say, what's up, you guys? Is there anything that I could do better to help our team work better? What are some things that you'd like to see us do as a team? Because some of them may have actually been leaders in their previous roles. Right. So I want to tap into their expertise. So I think that is a way to, get their buy-in and to get more cooperation and cohesiveness on the team. And then the fun thing, again, I love planning activities and team building events. For our team meetings, I always do something like a icebreaker. That's pretty standard, but I try to make it fun. And again, this is where I put my twist on it. It's like reading the room. Yes. So I have a team of, I don't know everybody on my team's age, but I do know that they're fully aware of like pop culture. Because I pay attention to the things that they say in teams, right? I see how they engage with one another. So when I did my Jeopardy, I did a little twist, and the Jeopardy is based on content related, questions, right? Or in Jeopardy, it's answers. Right. But for the title of each category, I named it after a song. So like an R&B song. Okay. So it made it fun because the R&B song was a popular song, but it also related to work. Yes. So that's like me inserting my creativity, but also knowing my audience. Right. They love that. They were engaged. So cool. It made them like, oh, this is cool. Our boss is actually kind of cool. Right. So reading the room is important when it comes to your team, paying attention to the dialogue they have amongst one another. Listening for those, we always heard growing up, context clues. Listen to the context clues. And really, man, I've gotten some one-on-one feedback from my team. Like some of the things people will say to me is like, I like how you're just really cool and down to earth and you're positive. And so I appreciate those type of comments. I truly do. Because that's how I genuinely try to, this is who I am, but I get it that at work, that's not common. Not everybody's bubbly. And I certainly am not bubbly every single day, but by default, I'm very positive. So I'm going to always come in with a mindset of, how can I serve you? Right. How can I help you do your job better? Right. And literally want to see everybody on my team win. That's a leader. Yes. That's a leader. Yeah, we talked about everything from what a toxic workplace looks like, what are some ways that, we can turn around toxic work environments, everything from a leader's perspective, from a frontline individual contributor's perspective. And I truly think that the more that we talk about this topic of workplace psychological safety, it will definitely just help overall in a person's work-life balance, like how they operate when they get off of work, So, and that's what we need nowadays, because we do realize that there is a real mental health crisis. It's Mental Health Awareness Month, which is why we're doing this topic, by the way. And so just those aspects, I mean, we spend a lot more time at work than we do with our own family. So it really does need to be a psychologically safe workspace. So if you're experiencing currently a toxic workplace, something that you can do is, if your company offers an employee assistance program, you can definitely reach out to them and know that there are a plethora of resources online available to you, including an organization that I came upon when I was dealing with a toxic workplace, and it's called End Workplace Abuse. They're working towards introducing the Psychological Safety Act in 20 states by 2025. I'm currently supporting the efforts here in Georgia, including seeking volunteers and sponsorship. So if you're interested in supporting the efforts here in Georgia, we'll have the link down below. You can go to endworkplaceabuse.com. If you're interested in having this bill introduced in your state, also go to endworkplaceabuse.com. When you go to the website, there is a lot of information there, including how workplaceabuse.com even came about. There are different testimonies that are shared on the site. There's a media kit available. There are actionable steps that you can take to try to get the bill passed in your state. One of those things is you can sign the petition that they have on their site. Another one is there are different webinars and workshops that you can sign up to attend if you're interested in becoming a volunteer and you want to get involved in this effort. The goal is to have this enacted as a federal law, but we have to start at the state level first. Your personal stories and testimonies can definitely help these bills. So even if you don't live in the state that they're introducing the bill, you still can submit your testimony to help the effort. It will all help our efforts in getting this federally enacted. So we thank you all for joining us for this episode. We know that it was a little bit deep, but you know, it is a conversation that we need to have. And if you're someone that is experiencing workplace, psychological abuse, there is help available. And, I'm very sorry that you're having to deal with that. Know that there are employers out there who actually care about their employees' psychological safety. Before we get out of here, Candace, do you have any closing thoughts?
I would like to add just being aware of what some toxic traits are. If you are in a workplace that you feel like you're not comfortable at, here are some things that would be considered red flags. Or I guess you can say you could consider this work environment toxic if they have the following things. So poor communication, high turnover, there's a lack of support, bullying, and having poor leadership. So if you're in that type of work environment, you might be in a toxic work environment. And you got to do what's best for you.
Keep your resume updated. And what Candace said that she didn't do with one of her jobs, and I did the same, so I failed to look at the reviews. So go to Glassdoor, go to Indeed, look up the reviews, and also look for employers who are supporting psychological safety. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get out of here for now. We do have a new t-shirt available. We're going to put the link down below. Definitely support the movement. We appreciate it. And until next time, remember, it's okay to be pretty,
but even better to be
pretty purposeful. Bye.